It's a fine foggy night tonight, and I doubt if anyone has ever told you of the marvelous fogs we have in Aberdeen.
Eugene.
Bakersfield.
Los Angeles.
San Francisco.
He wasn't giving me my props in Oaktown.
Portland.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles de California.
San Francisco.
San Francisco?
You gotta find your Irvine.
Irvine?
And Hanford.
Eugene.
Seattle.
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 Sacramento.
Fresno.
We're going to Vancouver.
Modesto, California. San Diego.
Gina.
You know, there might be an opening for a manager in Visalia next spring.
Yakima, right?
Vallejo, California, the V.
Welcome to the West Coast Sojourn Podcast. I'm Donnell Alexander.
I'm Les Anderson.
Yeah, I used to do this on the Weed Week podcast. It was when we were doing the introductions, and I would just and I'd pause for a really uncomfortable long amount of time until they said Donnell. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Donnell Alexander. I thought my producers were annoyed by me, but charmed by me, like most of the world. What do we have this week?
This week we have April Pride talking to us. She is an educator, facilitator, designer around the psychedelic experiences up in Seattle. She hosts a psychedelic salon that happens 6 times a year, where a lot of people get together and talk about pressing issues, including psilocybin and menopause. Is that what she had said? Amongst other.
Don't forget grief. Don't forget grief. I know you love menopause.
Psilocybin and grief. Oh, I love me some grief.
Yeah, and I met April like 2019 in Vegas, just before. I can't remember whether it was just before or just after Al Harrington came in. It was a cannabis conference, and we got a lot of great ones. And I hadn't met April before, but she was really she impresses people. Let's put it that way. And when I met her, she was doing the accessories, the cannabis accessories, and she sold her company for a lot of money, and then moved on to the psychedelic space. I learned today that she was very much an architectural designer. Is that right?
Yeah, it sounded like she went to both design school at Parsons and then also architecture school. So yeah. Very well educated, very well rounded.
So I get Parsons and Pratt confused. Parsons is in New York?
I think Parsons in New York, and then Pratt is in Rhode Island or something.
Okay, right.
One of them's in Rhode Island, one of them's in New York.
Yeah, but we don't need to talk about that.
Or am I thinking of RISD? That's what I'm thinking of, Rhode Island School of Design.
Yeah, RISD.
Sorry.
Yeah. So where's Pratt's in LA? Pratt must be.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. So we were going to talk about that show we went to at one of my favorite venues in Portland. Nice small venue, Mississippi Studios. Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was fun. We went and saw Fishbone, right? They're on their In Your Face 40th anniversary tour, as you should know if you listened to our interview with Christopher Dowd. And they sounded good. You know, it's kind of a newer lineup, different people filling out the band around singer Angela Moore and Christopher Dowd. But I thought they sounded pretty good. And
yeah. Well, something happened to me that was really life-changing that night.
What was that?
You know the Pointer Sisters song, Automatic?
Automatic.
Yeah. That was playing that night in the club, and I couldn't even place it because I think it's Bonnie Pointer singing in this really low register. I mean, I'm not great on Pointer Sisters, but I didn't recognize it as a Pointer Sisters song. But that song is so good; it's been in my head. I've played it almost every day since then.
I love the Pointer Sisters and Bonnie Pointer too. Yeah. Oh yeah, I love Pointer Sisters, and Bonnie Pointer's got a solo album that's really good that I like. But yeah, the Fishbone show was good too. What I appreciated about it is and we talked about this, and I think you talked about it in your Substack, was hearing those songs and the lyrics. It just resonated just as much now, if not more, than 40 years ago when the album first came out.
Yeah. And I feel bad about that, what I wrote, because I described Chris's lyrics as socially aware or socially conscious. All of them were. I forgot how much. Even like you go back to Ugly, Ugly from the first EP, and
Right.
I saw them do it on TV. They were just kids, man. I saw it on I don't know if you remember Terry Sweeney, who was like the first gay person on Saturday Night Live. This person was guest hosting for Joan Rivers when they were on. You must have come across the material when you were on.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a great performance. They got to come over on the couch and act weird. But they were going at Reagan back then. This is 85. They were, I mean, they got in early on. I mean, some people were doing it first term, but second term, fuck this guy. And the show reminded me, those lyrics were very, very poignant. And you think again, they're like 19 and 20 when they're writing these songs,
Yeah.
They're really good songs. The thing that shows me how good those songs were is that cover album, Cover Your Face. I've been listening to that. Have you had a chance to check that out?
I've listened to a little bit of it, yes.
Okay, so there's the Silver Sun's pickup cover of In the Air.
Mm-hmm.
So good. So good. I'm a big fan. We could talk about saying Fishbone. Do you go out to clubs much? You go out more than me, don't you?
I don't know. I mean, I used to always go out. I used to be going to shows when I was a kid all the time. Less so these days, things are expensive. Family stuff is not as easy to get away. But I've been trying to go because I think after the pandemic, I definitely had a renewed appreciation for live music. Just, there's something more to it, and I think I had missed it during the pandemic and I didn't know how much I missed it. We're all, so much of my music listening is like just on my headphones in front of my computer or, maybe play a record or two while I'm making dinner. And that's not enough. That's not sustaining enough for a fully realized human being. I feel like you need that live music.
Yeah. I don't think most people are as dialed in as we are. It's not as important to most people, but and I think in this conversation we're having with April, you said something about smoking less, but you won't be smoking less when you DJ, and that's good news, right?
Well, I don't know. You have to ask the audience, sort of the crowds. I don't know. I just feel like I need to smoke less. I smoked a lot of weed for a long time, and so it's just taking a break, chilling out.
I love that you're talking about this on 420. You're out of step with the times, and you should be proud of it.
I'm always missing it, just like that. Just I always miss the train.
Was there some other show we were talking about? We were gonna touch upon here.
DTF St. Louis.
Oh yeah, what is going on with that? What is that? Are you
we watched it. Yeah, have you watched it?
What's that?
Have you watched it?
No.
I don't know why I brought it up. I just think it's a fun topic to talk about with a male friend. Because in the show, Justin Bateman and it was David Harbour. They're like they form this friendship and they're very intimate with each other and in ways that you don't always see on television. So I thought it was really fun in a straight way. We're mostly straight way.
Well, yeah, I saw a preview of it. It looked, I mean, the title alone is interesting.
Right.
But here's the thing. I wanted to keep it on music, and I keep pointing you toward that podcast. You'll hear it. It's my favorite podcast right now. Music podcast with these two jazz pianists talking about great records. They did D'Angelo and some Steely Dan stuff and a lot of jazz records. But I'm in real appreciation for people talking in sort of musical ways. And an HBO show that I fucking cried at a TV show this weekend, man. An episode of Hacks. Hacks is such a great show. And when you have like the two main characters, not just the two main characters, underpinning the whole show is the music is like, I'm sorry, the comedy is like music, It's, what I'm talking about when that happens, when, like I think Dirty Rotten Scoundrels with Steve Martin and Michael Caine, they're just like, they're great. I watched Arthur this weekend. Remember Arthur?
Yes.
It's politically wrong in so many ways. You can just count frame by frame. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. but Dudley Moore's Drunk is so, he and Liza Minnelli, you can tell it's two musicians, the way they're going at it. And it's a thing to watch. Sometimes I don't give a fuck about the plot, and I don't give a fuck about standards and mores in terms of like cultural standards. But if you're making music out of comedy, that's my fucking hero. That's the best shit. I had to get that off my chest. It's a long way to go from Fistbone, but yeah.
Well, I'm glad we talked about it. I want to check out Hacks. I've never watched Hacks. I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what it's about or anything.
Oh, well, it's interesting. It's they view the show Hack. It's two women, a comedy writer and this old kind of hack character. She's the hack, and basically the writer revives her career and gets her to be ambitious. That's kind of what it is. But I think that hack is something. To me, when I was starting in journalism, I worked in Fresno with a guy named Pablo Lopez, and I thought I was a highfalutin writer, and he was like, "You got to be a hack," and I was like, "I'm never going to be a hack." No, a hack is someone who goes in and gets the job done every time.
Right.
And I appreciate that. I try not to be a hack because the negative connotations still bug me, but it kind of applies in the show. I think I've understood the meaning of hack more than ever from this show. You know, we all take gigs we don't want to take, but this is kind of like a miraculous one. So I guess we're ending on this note before we go see April Pride with a firm recommendation of Hacks. Is that what we want to go out on?
I'm down. I'm down.
Okay. And no, you know what we want to go out on? Ibogaine. And we should literally go out on Ibogaine.
Ibogaine, that's for hair loss, right? That's hair loss treatment I should try?
No, I think this is the psychedelic drug that our last guest, previous guest, Chris Dowd, was swearing by.
Right,
he had
right.
Yeah, he had that whole trip involving, it's funny. I'm not going to go into it, man.
All right. We love you, Fishbone. We'll see you later.
Yeah, and we've got a great guest. So April Pride, ladies and gentlemen.
My back is killing me.
Welcome to the West Coast Sojourn podcast. We have in the studio today with Lev Anderson, April Pride. Lev, what do you know about April Pride?
Not a whole lot, but she's done a lot of work in the cannabis and psychedelics fields, kind of staying in front of trends of what's going on in those different industries as laws change, culture changes, and advocating for some of that stuff. Up in Seattle, right, April? So sometimes Danelle and I like to ask people what's kind of the vibe in Seattle right now. I mean, for so long in these different cities, we'd ask guests these questions, and a lot of it was the ICE enforcement and the pushback against that. But, hopefully that's toned down a little bit. And let us know in Seattle, right? Is it the new mayor that was elected or something, a new progressive mayor? So maybe you could talk about that or whatever you're vibing with there.
Oof, politics. I don't know if I like.
You don't have to talk about politics either. We're happy not to talk politics.
It could be a cute dog you saw.
Yeah, or just something happening in your neighborhood or a good show you went to.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in Seattle, yes, having a new mayor has, it's done what having someone new in politics always does. It allows people to have an I told you so moment when anything goes wrong or anything goes right. So I think we're in the afterglow of all that after Katie's come to office. But we have an absolutely I mean, are you still in LA, Donnell, sometimes, I think? Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. Where are you going with the LA thing?
Just our housing crisis. I mean, it's terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's coupled with addiction. Seattle's just not the same as it was when I moved here 20 years ago. It's very
When you say that, what do you mean by that? Because I was just up there and people were talking the same thing. And when they say that, I think about the influence of Amazon primarily, but you're talking about something else or no?
No, I mean, I think, big tech for sure has impacted how expensive it is to live here. We don't really have a creative class,
They moved to Tacoma?
Yeah, they do. They live in Tacoma. They live in Olympia. So it's not like, we're losing people in Washington State, but in Seattle as a city, it's really, really hard to find, Yes. Is there creativity here? Absolutely. Are there people that are doing interesting things that are inspiring those of us who live here? Yes. It's just that it's not the young and those who are willing to put together a bunch of gig jobs, and it's too hard. Can't do it all and live here. Can't piece together a living, I guess you could say.
Well, that's a tough first question.
Yeah.
You, I missed your event on a Thursday night, or was it a Tuesday night? I was supposed to be at something of yours. You speak publicly. You're an educator. I feel like that's an aspect that we don't talk about enough of your repertoire or who you are. What did I miss that night? It was a workshop or no?
Yeah, it's called the Psychedelics Salon, and we have I say it's monthly, but it's seasonally, so we have about 6 of them a year. And on is that April 2nd, it was with a doctor who was visiting, Dr. Amanda Downey, who was visiting from San Francisco, and she works at UCSF's disordered eating lab. And so we were talking about psilocybin specifically as a breakthrough therapy, the first breakthrough therapy in 40 years for eating disorders, and just how complicated it is to treat this very vulnerable population. They already have compromised health that, and a lot of, that will prove to be a contraindication for allowing them to receive this treatment. So getting participants in the clinical trial that they're trying to run, it's not easy. But yeah, so that's what we were talking about. And people trying to do it on their own when really, I mean, the health of people who have not eaten in sometimes years, it's really, really hard for them to, to give them a medication like psilocybin, especially when their issues are around control. If there's one thing I hear over and over again of why people don't want to trip, it's because they don't want to lose control. And then you have a population of people who are controlling everything about what goes into their body. Yeah, it's very complicated.
And so thankfully these studies are, there'll be more and more of this work done because of this executive order that was just signed by Mr. Donald Trump. Could you tell us a little bit about what that does?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like that. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact details. I know it's $50 million that's been earmarked to fund research. Really, the research is going to be around ibogaine, which is a different psychedelic plant from West Africa. Iboga is the name of the plant. Ibogaine is the active compound that's used for treatment. And from what I've seen and the experts that I've talked to, it has the most promise for the most challenging cases when it comes to alcohol use disorder, opiate use disorder. So people are really seeking ibogaine treatment for addiction and for PTSD more veterans that are experienced PTSD.
Well, it's interesting. We had the leader of the band Fishbone, Chris Dowd, on the episode. I think it was the last episode we recorded. And he was talking about his experience with that drug and how it changed his life.
Okay.
And I thought, and it's interesting because ibogaine and iboga, is that how you say it, the plant?
Iboga, yeah.
Iboga.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get talked about as much as the other ones. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that's the one that got the specific earmark of $50 million?
There is a former Texas Governor Rick Perry is behind it. There are Washington State, I know, is using some of their Purdue settlement cash to do preliminary to crunch some numbers to see if doing a longer trial here is going to happen. Also with some money from the Purdue settlement. Why do I think? I think it's because it's been so, I mean, you want to talk about underground. Ibogaine just hasn't, it's not take it and go to a party like we've been using psychedelics, for that's how most people have been using psychedelics. Come on. We haven't been using it as treatment. Very, very small fraction of people. And only in the last decade or so have people really been seeking out psychedelics to address some of these, more systemic diagnoses around PTSD and such. And because Ibogaine you don't have to have a pre-existing condition. It doesn't matter. There is opportunity for a cardiac incident to happen because of the way that the plant increases electricity within your body.
Wow.
So going to a retreat center that's not really set up like a hospital with a cardiologist, EKG machine, and all of that is not recommended. Yeah. So
You don't go dancing on Ibogaine?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And it lasts forever and ever and ever. It is like an 12 to 18-hour trip.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay. I
Yeah.
won't take it lightly.
And one of the things that it does so if people are looking to psilocybin or MDMA or another psychedelic to help with addiction specifically, Ibogaine takes away cravings, which if you talk to anyone that's suffered from addiction and has tried different modalities, that's the trick, is to take away cravings. And somehow this does. Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask you, just because I know you talk and think about psychedelics so much and in such a serious context, can you have fun with the psychedelic, or are you just past that? Do you play?
Me personally?
Yeah, you
Yes.
personally.
Yes. Definitely play.
That was 5 yeses.
Lots of yeses. Yes. And MDMA is the one that I use recreationally. Psilocybin is just cry. I'm just crying. I'm not dancing on psilocybin. I am definitely crying. So, yeah.
Okay, Lev, what about you? Do you have fun on psychedelics?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't taken large doses, in a while. But up in the mountains or if I'm out at a show or something, I might take a small dose. Not that I'm really scared of it, but I just feel like you got to be in the right spot and be with some good people or whatever, or by yourself even. But to take more of a stronger dose. So I don't know that I've really tripped, but I've definitely enjoyed it. But I was wondering too. Danelle said that since it's such a part of your life, it's got to be part of your family life. And I wonder, I've got a new teenager. He's just turned 13, and he knows I smoke weed, and although I'm trying to do less and less of that, but it's not something I was always ever hiding from him or anything. How do you talk about it with your kids, and how do you deal with it as a family?
It's complicated. I mean, I have a son who is a first year in college, and I have a son who just turned 16. And candidly, their whole life has been with the woman who is a weed mom and a shroom mom. And although that's certainly not, what's going on around my home, it's what their friends know me as, and their friends' parents know what I do. And, I think people can make a lot of assumptions about what that means and what's going on behind the scenes. But I can guarantee you there's a lot of conversation that's here, and the kids, sometimes I think I'm the Charlie Brown voice where they're like, wah, 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 wah.
Right. Yeah. As parents tend to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the acid. That's the acid making you sound like that. No, I'm sorry. Go on, please.
No, totally. So, but I don't know. I feel like were they getting their information from their friends? Like, that doesn't make me. I talk to parents all the time who have lost children, whose children have died because they ordered Molly on Snapchat. And I can't believe how many of those conversations I've had. So yeah, I talk to my kids a lot about they're smart, college educated parents, sent their kids to the right schools, like
right.
yo, it can happen to anybody. These kids weren't trying to die. They were trying to get high, you know? And so those are the conversations that I have with them. They're pretty, unfortunately, it's not, hey, make sure you have your own stash. So someone, you know, in case someone puts something in your weed. Yeah, that can happen. We're so fucking beyond that now, though. It's like kids can't even go to a party and say yes to something that someone hands them. They better have a test kit on them. Like, yeah, all that is the conversation we're having. I don't want my kids to die, but I know that they're curious humans.
Right.
You know, and I know I want them to be, but it requires a lot of preparation beforehand now. There's not a lot of spontaneous decisions being made around drugs if you're being smart.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Are there I don't mean to go down this track so much, but are there resources for parents? Because I feel like, you know, it's always so taboo, like, oh, just tell your kids to say no, you know, don't, you know, don't engage them, don't legitimize their use or something. Are there good resources for parents to check out if they're you know, wanting
Yeah.
that help?
Yeah, there are. And, you know, actually, I don't, some of the names are escaping me, but the two that I'm thinking of are unfortunately because parents lost their kids. And so they set up these resources. They're more like Q&As, FAQs, websites that have FAQs. What I thought you were going to ask is, are there resources for parents who have lost children? Because that's what I hear all the time, is that there are not.
Right.
There's so much shame. They do not talk about what happened. In some cases, no one knows why their child passed away.
Right.
I think it's just interesting that there's so much shame associated with drugs, period, and the role it plays in a lot of these phenomenons getting out of control. When the whole opiate crisis started, I not even when it started, like 2011, 2010, I listened to a local NPR report from San Diego County, and all these rich people had lost. It was like 8 kids that had been lost to heroin overdose or opiate overdose, and that's what kept it going on was the shame. These people keeping it to themselves, you know. And I think I wanted to ask you about this because you're talking about being a cultural leader, being out in front of these issues. Do you feel like it is getting easier for people to talk about drugs in general? I know it's easier for people to talk about cannabis and probably easier for people to talk about psychedelics, but what overall are you seeing change as a mom, as an industry leader?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's interesting because the more I learn, the more reverence I have for these medicines, right?
Go on.
Including weed, right? Like, especially weed, because it's so, everything that's so accessible, have found that our reverence, as it's become more available, has diminished. Whereas I feel like because we have more access to it, we should spend even more time understanding what these plants are capable of, both good and challenging, right?
Challenging, good word.
Yeah. So that's what I'm finding, is that there's more of a laissez-faire attitude around consuming mind-altering substances.
Well, why do
And
you say that? Why do you use the word reverence? Is it respect? Why are you saying reverence? I'm curious.
yeah, respect. I mean, anything that can knock you on your ass the way that these drugs can, you better, come prepared, right? And I just think that something that your mom can roll into the corner dispensary and buy sounds like, she also drinks wine. So what's the big deal?
Right.
You know? And we know lots of women who drink too much wine.
Right, but it's cute when that happens. Lev, you were going to ask something, weren't you?
No. Well, yeah, speaking of which, like, it is kind of shocking why more research cannot be done in this day and age. You know, I know there were some larger studies, you know, with MDMA treatments. Maybe the psilocybin was part of that. The ketamine, right? That, you know, they said they had these positive results, and then it came out like that there was issues with the data. I cannot remember, but it seems like this ongoing struggle just to do some testing. And are there things happening in other parts of the world that we're just not aware of? Or is it just that is Europe still dealing with the same stigmas?
I would say what I've seen is when you're looking at psychedelics that are going the pharma route, right, that have to go through clinical trials. The issue is that the results, the longer lasting, more positive results are a result of the medicine with therapy, with talk therapy.
Right.
And so what you're referencing is the MDMA trials, and the challenge with that is that the FDA doesn't regulate talk therapy. So you're asking them to approve a medication, but the protocol also includes talk therapy, and that is not what the FDA deals with. So what we're seeing pharmaceutical companies do that are working with psychedelic medication is they're trying to synthesize the active compound so that it doesn't create hallucinogenic effects.
Wow.
So that the time that you're altered is as little as possible. It's expensive, right? You've got 2 licensed therapists sitting there while you're having a 6-hour trip, and then you're meeting again late. It gets to be it's a $30,000 price tag, So, and then at the end of the day, the best thing for these companies to do is to take the therapeutic part of it just out. That complicates all of it. So just do what we've always done, is give someone a pill, tell them how much to take and when to take it, and then they'll see results. That's not really how psychedelic medicine works in terms of getting, the best outcomes. It's ongoing integration, which means ongoing therapy. Yeah.
Right, which is hard to create like a lab standard for, because you just don't really do that with therapy.
Yeah.
You just have to create some sort of licensing structure or something, I imagine. Well, that's complicated. Are there other alternative institutes or research agencies or, arms of the federal government or the, national drug industry that does take into account that the holistic therapy approach?
I don't
No.
think
No.
I have a
If
question.
you want it to be FDA approved and you want your insurance company to cover it, that's
Right.
about the drug. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about business.
Mhm.
Was Vanderpop stuff your first stuff? The accessories were the first stuff?
And cannabis, yeah.
And cannabis, okay. Did you have a business past before that?
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, can I ask what you were doing before that?
Yeah, I went to architecture school and I went to Parsons and got my master's from Parsons. I was a designer.
Why don't I know that?
I don't
I
know.
mean, you look like a designer, first off. I mean, if I had to stereotype you.
Great.
If you walked in the room and I said your first impression, she's not a model. April April is a designer. Why aren't you doing that now?
I'm trying to figure it out, honestly. I miss it so much. So one of the things I've started doing is I host events for up to 12 women at my home, where they take Seattle's a decrim city, so I can gift psilocybin to them. So they take up to a 0.5 gram of psilocybin, and it means that I took a lot of time. I mean, my home is already pretty cool, but I designed it in a way that would be great if you're under the influence of small doses of psilocybin. So the setting, like creating the right space,
everything.
That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do.
I mean, let's get into this because I think there's a market for this.
Yeah, for sure.
How might that work in your mind?
I think there's a couple of things. One, I think you have to partner with an architecture firm and be maybe a consultant for their ceremony spaces for their high net worth clients. That's kind of it right now. If we're talking about an opportunity, and that's not nothing, but I would really, really love to see. So what happened in Oregon is you can get a license to have a service center, which is where you go and medicine is distributed at that service center. You have to take it at that service center, and you stay until the high wears off. So those service centers, they can be around creativity. They can be around dance, art. It doesn't just have to be some office park, bland 4 walls that you walk into and you sit on a futon and then trip for a few hours. It can be really, really creatively done. And so I would love to have a facility like that in Seattle that essentially is like a karaoke complex where you come in and you're like, today I want to go to the jungle room. So you sign up for time in the jungle room with your friends, and you are distributed medicine, and we take care of the playlist and the physical surrounding and all of it. So that's what I would love to do, is to have a facility where people can safely enjoy recreational drugs. But
well, I hope the people and who are listening, who are up for that sort of thing, want to partner with my friend and colleague here. So you did that. You have a what are you, if I can ask professionally, what do you say you are to people?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to psychedelics, I'm a harm reduction advocate and educator, right? I'm a consultant in emerging markets where education is critical to public health. And that's really what I'm doing. And most of the markets that I come into, it's women as consumers who are going to drive the growth. So that's the demographic that I really understand.
Can we talk just a little bit? I know I'm hogging the questions, but I do want to talk about the women-centered aspect of what you're doing. Like if I'd gone to that, what do you call it? The psychedelic cafe? What is it?
Salon? The salon?
Salon. Psychedelic salon. Are we going to find mostly women there, and why?
No. And it's not billed as a women specific space. Set the company that I founded is women forward, but the salon, no, it's 50-50. I mean, if there's a topic that's psilocybin for menopause, it's going to be more like 70-30, but for the most part, there are a lot of men that show up.
Glad to know that.
Yeah.
What other topics are discussed at the salons?
Yeah, so May 7th is going to be our last salon for this season, and that's on grief. So psychedelics and grief. This last one, as I mentioned, is psychedelics and disordered eating. Then there was psychedelics and substance use, psychedelics and seniors, psychedelics and the law. So what is legal if you live in a decrim city? What can you, quote, get away with as both a consumer and a business person? And psychedelics, and menopause. That's what kicked off our season in October.
Can I ask about the one that's coming up on the 7th, psychedelics and grief?
Yeah.
What made you want to do that one?
When do I want it? When are we doing it?
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll cut this out, but what made you want to do that one?
Oh my goodness. That is the topic that is driving people to use psychedelics. It's grief. I was probably 2 years after my divorce before I realized that what I thought was situational depression, I was experiencing grief. I just was so sad. I was grieving this future that, can never have, right? And so when that light bulb went off, I was like, oh my goodness, everyone's grieving something. We're all grieving something. We've lost something. And the extent of it obviously varies. But the more people I talk to, they're looking to psychedelics to help them address grief in some way.
And you don't just mean a death. There could be grieving lots of things.
Lots of things. We are losing, the existential threat of AI. We're losing a future that we thought we understood, right? Like there's a lot that that I think that we're grieving. And so the Dr. Sunil Agarwal is going to be speaking, and he has a petition with the DEA for right to try so that his cancer patients can try psilocybin as they're coming to the end of their life and really trying to do that in a way that's peaceful and without a lot of stress, frankly. Yeah. And fear, a lot of fear. And then the other woman, Laura Cassidy Sullivan, is a death doula, and she's going to be speaking about her work too, because I think the more professionals that I talk to, yes, it's for the patient to have access to psychedelics for the patient, but their families are also in the throes of a very, very stressful event where they're going to lose a loved one, and they too need support. So
I was a caregiver for my mother in the last year of her life. She had passed from cancer, and it kind of sucked. I mean, I think, she had, she was in Berkeley in the 60s, and I don't think she was into drug use, but I know she had a couple trips in her youth. I don't think she had them later in life. And I don't know if she needed them so much because she was pretty ready for death, like she did the death with dignity thing. She drank the poison right down, and and it wasn't like a bitterness or a suicidal thing. It was just kind of like, this is my time and I'm in charge now. But what I remember so much, and what I felt so bad about is, she had to take painkillers, and I'd have to put on her fentanyl patch, and it fucked her up, and she did not like the feeling of that. And I know the opioid thing is way different than the psychedelic thing. The psychedelic thing is not for physical pain and so on.
Yeah.
But I just remembered how sucky that experience was for her, having to be like super doped up, towards the end and not really, feeling herself in a way, or at least, and I can't imagine that you could do them both at the same time. I don't know if that would be advisable, but that was one thing that I remember. I'm just sharing this experience of her end of life situation and experience. And, I don't know that psychedelics are advisable when you have to, dose up so much on fentanyl or whatever. But anyways.
Well, I'm curious about that though. Is there a way? Can you
yeah.
Well, how? Is there a way?
Well, I mean, I'm not a medical professional, but I do know that, you work with your doctor to titrate up and, off of your meds, off of your pain meds. It's case by case, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
I hope I'm not stealing your question, Lab. Do you have a follow-up?
No, not really. I mean, I find like, the end of life, the grief, I find it's such a sad thing to say about our society right now too, right? Because we don't always give, people the right care when they're sick and so on. But also I always have in the back of my mind this fear. This isn't, I don't put this on any of the psychedelics because I love my experiences with them. I've never had a bad experience. But I wonder sometime, as you mentioned, like how AI is changing the world, I'm thinking constantly of climate change and everything. And then I think of some of these drugs and I kind of start to think of like Brave New World, with Soma or something. And I wonder if that's a part of what people think about, as we move into the future,
How can we not, right? Like
Yeah.
look at MK Ultra, our own government was using drugs for mind control.
Right.
Why wouldn't that be a part of how this is going to go down in the future if it's not already
Right.
part of the plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be worried about all this getting in the wrong hands. For sure. Yeah.
So some of the most bomb people I know are in the cannabis, and I've met through cannabis and psychedelics and all that. And you just must be swimming in these interesting people. Can you talk about just how being part of the community has affected your life? You're just shaking your head no.
I wish it were that. I feel like I just work alone. I do interview people for my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I follow certain people's work and their research. But, it does feel like it's a little bit of a lonely vocation just because I'm, working on my own here in Seattle and connected to the community for certain events, but not on the regular. Yeah. So, but I would say that, I'm one of the few people that's worked in both the cannabis space and the psychedelic space. Very different people.
Tell me how.
I
Broad generalization, please.
I find cannabis to be very collaborative, extremely collaborative, super rooted in the culture, legacy culture, really, even to this day. Um, and psychedelics, because it's always been more of an academic pursuit, a research pursuit, it attracts people who are, do you know like how academics work? It's super competitive. It's not collaborative. So I feel like that is an undercurrent in the industry. Yeah, it's more competitive than collaborative.
See. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Lev ask something because I'm thinking on something. Now, I just want our next question to be really good. We're in the next couple minutes, and this will all be cut. But are there things you wish that we were hitting right now?
Me?
Yeah, you, April.
No, I think you're asking all the right questions. I mean, we're really at a critical point in all of this where we're going to have the first FDA approved drugs hit the market at the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to be next year, 2027. So it's happening early. We just don't really know how that's going to play out and how it's going to, how the industry is going to build around the fact that it's really a pharma model that we're supporting. But with state regulation, there is an opening for people to pursue this therapeutically outside of the pharma model, but it just depends state to state how that's going to look. So in the next 5 years, we'll have a better idea of how this is going to be, what the access is going to look like to people and the ongoing support. So yes, Set Set is about the long-term integration being accessible, affordable, peer-to-peer support, not necessarily a person standing at the front of the room telling you what to do, but like trading. And like I learned in cannabis, the only reason I had information to share with women about how they could use cannabis is because other women shared it with me. Right. And to get that peer-to-peer support down, that's how we've been helping people take these mind-altering drugs for ever.
I suspect too a big difference, a big reason for the difference between the cannabis industry and the psychedelics is cannabis is so much easier to reproduce on one's own. Someone can grow it in their backyard, or they might not be growing their grade A stuff, but it's easier. It's not not chemicals in a lab or whatever, or having to forage for wild mushrooms in the wild, which a lot of people do. But I think the other thing I'm wondering about too is, and this is just a thought I had as you were talking about psychedelics going down this path of the pharma model and that structure, that economy. I don't know if you've ever read Vandana Shiva. She's an Indian physicist, but she writes a lot on biopiracy, and by that she talks about how corporations will start, will try to trademark and create intellectual property out of natural processes, natural products from plants and such. Like she starts with the big example in India of the neem tree, where forever people in Southeast Asia used the neem tree to clean their teeth, and some company that wanted to make toothpaste out of it tried to like trademark neem trees. Is that something that's happening in the psychedelic market? Or is it just the specific compounds that they create and then like or are they trying to just gobble up? I could just imagine like the tech bros that want to gobble up the psychedelic industry are trying to create these IP boundaries around things.
Oh yeah,
Is that
for sure, totally happening. Yeah, like derivatives of psilocybin, right? So the example that I can share with you is ketamine. So ketamine's been used. It's been on the World Health Organization's list of essential drugs since the early 70s, since like 1971 or something like that. And ketamine's been used in emergency rooms for decades. It's safe to use with animals, with kids. It really became something that was came into popularity during the Vietnam War because you could use it to treat the most severe cases on the battlefield. Like, you could give someone ketamine, you could amputate them on the battlefield and then get them right into a hospital as time allowed. So, it doesn't require any refrigeration. It's small, like to carry. It's cheap. You cannot, there's no IP. And so that's racemic ketamine, which means that this is when I have to understand chemistry. The left and the right side are the same. They're mirror images, so they're not the same. They're mirror, books and images. And so what Johnson & Johnson owns Janssen Pharmaceuticals, which created Spravato. Spravato is the first FDA-approved psychedelic drug. It's ketamine. And it's not racemic ketamine. It's called S-ketamine. So there's R-ketamine on one side and S-ketamine on the other side. And what Janssen Pharmaceuticals decided to do is just use S-ketamine in this solution. It has shorter acting results that are not as positive as the generic ketamine, but it was the only way for Janssen Pharmaceuticals to get FDA approval. They still ran the trials. It still helped. So they were able to make this into a $1 billion drug within less than 5 years. And it doesn't have results that are better than if you go to an IV clinic and you just get generic ketamine, but your insurance doesn't cover it. So you can get for $450, you can get a bag of IV drip ketamine, but it's out of pocket. Whereas if you go to a clinic that has Spravato, you're going to spend almost $3,000 for a couple of treatments, but your insurance will cover it. It's just not a superior product.
Why is it always the worst option that the one that we end up taking? I thinking about you in 5 years, assuming that your part-time job is putting on spectacular psychedelic events inside architectural spaces, interesting architectural spaces. Assuming that is your part-time job, what would you like to be doing with the other 30 hours of your week?
As a professionally, what do I like?
Professionally, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can't really tell where you're going. I guess that's what I want to say.
Jesus, the two of us. Yeah, same. I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, we can all say the same thing about you, Danelle. In fact, let's turn this around a little bit. Where's this question going? And you got this new book coming out, or a republished book, and what is that about? Come on. Explain yourself. We only have 20 seconds.
No, it's going to be a hit. I'm really glad I'm doing it. I'm not going to talk about my book here. I'm not going to eat up April's time talking about my book. I will tell you though, I legitimately mean that, because the places you're in are fairly disparate. I mean, I'm not talking about the drugs, but it's education, it's sales. You're a designer. Do you have anything in the ballpark of a plan? I don't want to know your. You have dreams. I know you have that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're lucid dreams.
No, I would say, listen, it has been a struggle, right? This is all self-funded. There's no raising capital for this. I haven't been able to do that. And so I've tried everything. I've thrown so much at the wall, including gifting psilocybin, right? Which I partnered with clinicians to create education. That is what people purchase. And then I gift you the psilocybin. I'm no longer doing that because, for a lot of reasons. But the thing that I love the most, and the thing that I think has the biggest impact on the people that I'm hoping to help, are the salons. We have hundreds of people that come to each salon. We have hundreds of people that log in for the live stream of the salon. when you are in person month after month, that's how community is being built. That's where people are like, oh, I've seen you before. You start
Right.
talking. Oh, do you need someone to sit with you while you have an experience? I can do that, right? Do you know where I can get medicine? Oh, I can help you with that. So the salon, and I set up a nonprofit in the last 6 weeks, I'd say, because I would like to see the salon go on the road. That's
Yes. Yes. Yes.
yeah. But then that means I have to be a director of a nonprofit. I didn't really see myself doing that when I grew up. So I'm kind of dragging my heels on that because that doesn't feel aligned with really what I would like to see myself doing in 5 years, which has a lot more to do with the creative side of things. So I would say you've caught me at a crossroads, Donnell. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I see a lot of emerging sectors like peptides, GLP-1s that women are adopting at the highest rates, particularly women in midlife. We don't have any research. They're stacking GLP-1s with microdose psilocybin and their THC gummies on the weekends, and no one knows what the fuck is going on when you put all these things together. There's some reports from facilitators that people who are on GLP-1s, like they're high or, the effects of, say, psilocybin happens much later than they were anticipating because of just the way GLP-1s work, where they hold.
GLP-1s are the like Ozempic, like weight loss
Yes.
drugs. Yes, right.
Yeah. So, that's affecting people's experiences because the onset happens a lot later and it can last a lot longer. And so that just, is not what you're being prepared for when you go into a psychedelic experience. So facilitators are trying to figure that out. But the bigger challenge is that consumers don't even know to tell their facilitator they're on a GLP-1. Like, why would you need to know that when I'm just trying to have a psychedelic experience? So the way that all of these gray area medicines and health and wellness protocols are converging is really impacting women's health more so than any other demographic, particularly women that are 40 to 60 years old. So that's my sweet spot in terms of understanding that woman, why they're making these choices, what their pre-existing health might look like, how that could be complicated by these choices. And vice versa. So I would like to continue working with companies that are looking to launch in these emerging spaces where, again, public health education is critical to positive public health. So as a consultant working with companies, brands that are looking to connect with women that really need women to drive sales, I like working with brands, to do that. That's fun.
I love the idea of you taking it on the road. I know that's, being a executive director wasn't your plan, but it just seems like the most natural thing to see you in other people's homes. And then the need is great. I always think like Seattle, Pacific Northwest, even California, the need is not that great. You could, maybe you push back a little bit, but the people in Idaho down to Texas who could benefit from it, they know nothing, and I think they're afraid to look. It could be the
Control
2020s. What's that?
Oh, the control issue.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could be the 2020s version of the Avon lady, except you change someone's life.
Right. Yeah. The salon is big and public, and you would be in a public space. The gatherings that I do at my home, that is, I like that as a Tupperware party too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that you'd have to have another cool home, or maybe
you'd have to just Airbnb it.
I think you should.
That's an option. Yeah. I like to feel a little more homey than.
Yeah. I think you have to recreate it in a really big, a big truck that you can take around the country. Maybe a deluxe mobile home that you could make your own, and everyone will have their trip.
That would be so fun.
That'd be like the old Merry Pranksters, the old Ken Kesey.
Yeah.
Buses.
And It may be time. One of my guests recently, we were just having a conversation about my book about these times and how orthodox approaches have to go out the window in so many different ways. And yeah, Ken Kesey's people may make a comeback. Anything that you wished that I'd asked you, April? We've been all over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's anything I wish that you had asked. I will say that I cannot stress enough that taking microdose of psilocybin on the regular is not going to change your life. There's so much more that you have to do around that than just take the pill and tell your friends you're taking the pill, right? Like that is why I do what I do. There's work to be done. There's some self-reflection there that is not going to be easy and it's going to maybe require you to acknowledge some things that, would be better if you did less of or more of, or I don't know, but it will require behavior change. And that seems to be, that's the friction in all of this, is that human behavior does not like change. Right?
Right. And you think psilocybin and all that does facilitate it. It's not going to do the work for you.
That's right. Yeah. It allows for a window of neurogenesis, neuroplasticity. Our brain is open, is more malleable while taking microdose psilocybin or after having a large dose experience. And what you do in that window really impacts how you're working with the medicine, how you're dancing with the medicine. And I don't think that a lot of people quite understand the significance of that window. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. I was just taking a trip I was out past Joshua Tree a month ago, and I haven't taken LSD in 15 years, but someone started talking me into it on the way out there, and I put it off just because, it would have been great because the desert's a great place to do acid.
Totally.
But I think it's time to come back to it. And your conversation pushes me a little longer. Like I need to have a clarifying trip. So thanks for that.
Yeah. I've recently been doing, I didn't have any LSD until after I was 40.
Oof.
Yeah. And that's been in the last 10 years. And I don't know, I've done it a few times this year. I like acid a lot.
A lot. Why'd you wait so long? What were you waiting for?
Because it's called acid.
Yeah, the
war on
branding's a little
drugs.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, that just wasn't floating around my friend group.
Okay.
It's the bottom line. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you are living the dream. No, you have such a great life. I don't know your life. You told me your sad divorce story. I believe you about that. But it's so interesting and I admire it. Are you going to say anything, love? Because you can tell I'm winding out here.
Yeah. I wanted just to give April a chance to let us know the name of her podcast. She had mentioned a podcast. Let our audience know where they can find your work.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So Set is the name of the platform that I created for integration, psychedelic integration, and it's short for set and setting. So our mindset and our physical space. And you can find me on Substack at April Pride, PRIDE, and Get Set is my website. And the podcast is also called Set. Yeah. SET.
So good to meet you, April. Thanks for joining us.
Nice to meet you too, Lev. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you soon. I hope. You're a returning champion. I love that about you.
Boom. I like that. I love being a returning champion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to share more about my work with your audience. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Okay.
And don't sign off quite yet because your video